Everybody, thank you for joining the ACA Small Business Bootcamp and Resource Collective. For this Thursday, October 7th, we're excited to have everybody with us. I'm Robert Theobald, Small Business Ombudsman and Vice President of Small Business Services. If you've been with us before, you will notice that sometimes I change my background on my Zoom link there, and today is a picture of the Grand Falls up in northern Arizona, just northeast of Flagstaff. It's a pretty amazing waterfall that flows sometimes during the year. It flows really well after a good snow melt, so it's a great spring trip, day trip to take if you like that stuff. So to get started today, we'd like to first thank all of our community partners. Our community partners are instrumental in the bootcamp series. They give of their time, their expertise, and we appreciate it very much. We have 120 plus different community partners, too many to list on these two slides, but we do appreciate all of them. Those not familiar with the Small Business Bootcamp, it is designed to help employees or designed to help businesses return from the COVID crisis stronger than ever. It is a statewide initiative supported by all of those community partners. And not only is it a Tuesday and Thursday 9 a.m. webinar, but it is a resource collective and a content library. So on the resource collective, if you go to the bootcamp website, about halfway down the web page, you'll find the link to the resource collective. And when you go to that page, you're going to find some additional tools and guides that are provided by our community partners, our statewide network of community partners. And these are to help assist small businesses work through their challenges and be stronger going forward. Additionally, as you scroll to the bottom of the bootcamp website, you'll find the archive section. In the archive section, we have our content library. We record all of our bootcamp sessions and post the recordings and the content, slide decks, other materials that our experts want to share. We post that all together in the archive, so you can go back and review the 140 plus webinars that we have available to review. And we cover every different business topic. So there's a topic that you may have missed or you wanted to attend but couldn't because of work and your business. These are available at any time, online, no cost to you. And again, there's probably close to 170 different webinars on there that you can review with expert content. Some other important information and resource for COVID-19 is the state's information and resource website, ArizonaTogether.org. You can find all different information regarding COVID on that page. And then the Arizona Commerce Authority set up the COVID-19 Business Resources website at azcommerce.com/COVID-19. And on there, you can find additional business guidance, financial information, and other great tools and resources. Whenever a new financial program comes out, whether at the state or federal level, we always update it under those financial resources. Additionally, the ACA has a number of programs to help support small businesses. We have our small business services, our workforce division, who we're going to hear from today, and our Arizona MEP, our manufacturing extension partnership. These are all great programs to help us small businesses throughout Arizona become stronger and grow in their business trajectories. Another tool that's available to small business owners or those looking to become small businesses is a small business checklist. And this is an online interactive tool that helps entrepreneurs understand the commonly requested licensing, registration, and compliance needs at the local, state, and federal level. Again, this is available at no cost. You can go on and identify the cities you're going to be working in, the industries and the professions, and identify those needs to start or grow your business. So let's transition to our business updates page. We like to talk about, we've seen these before, but we can't mention them enough. PPP loan forgiveness. If you have a PPP loan, you do have to apply for forgiveness. We bring this up a lot in the bootcamp because most of the loans that have not been forgiven and have not received applications for forgiveness are the loans of under $150,000 that were taken out by the smaller businesses. And so we want to make sure everybody knows that if you got a PPP loan, you do have to apply for forgiveness. We also want to mention the EIDL, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, and its expansion. It expanded from a maximum loan of $500,000 up to $2 million. So if you're looking and needing an expansion of that loan program, if you've gotten an EIDL loan previously and need some additional funding through it, you can contact the SBA directly and apply for that increase. Also with the EIDL, it is a program that was around before the pandemic, and it is normally used for natural disasters and other major problems such as that. And so the areas of Arizona that were impacted by flooding, many of those counties are available for EIDL loans based on the time frame of that flooding. So that may be something that can help your business if you have started since the pandemic came into effect. Another great resource is the Employee Retention Credit. This is a complicated IRS credit, but it is a substantial credit. And so it is in most businesses' best interest to take a look at it, because there's a lot of potential funding that you can get by taking that extra effort with your accountant to go through that program. And then last on here is SCORE. SCORE used to go by, this is their acronym, but it is actually the name of the organization now. It originally stood for Service Corps of Retired Executives, and they are an SBA program that provides mentoring and some guidance. And the reason I mention them is we're going to post a link. Their website has a tremendous amount of great information for starting a business, growing a business, and other things. It is a great website for some additional learning. You know, we like to have everybody go to our content library, but this is also another great tool for gaining learning and education around business topics you might not be the strongest at. So with that, we want to look at some of our upcoming sessions. So we've got a number of sessions already planned on the calendar, available to register into November. And so we've got techniques to reduce stress and burnout. I'm really looking forward to this session. We've got a new presenter on Tuesday. And we all know we're going to the holiday season between work, families, holidays. There's a lot of stress and a lot of people do get burned out. So this is a great session for business owners and employees alike. Thursday of next week will be End the Year Strong, some tactics to end the year in high gear. Following week, low budgets and guerrilla marketing techniques. And then we're going to have a follow-up on small business PPP loan forgiveness with our friends at Prestamos CDFI. Then we're going to continue on with 10 legal mistakes for small businesses to avoid. And then we have a new session we're going to do on your business on TikTok. It's a growing social media platform, and we're going to have a new presenter talk about doing business on TikTok. And then we've got a great session calling it How to Handle Haters. And the holidays can be stressful, and sometimes we get a lot of people that just are angry and upset or just hate on us. And so we've got the presentation on how to deal with those haters during the holiday season. And then the final one down here at the bottom we want to highlight is our 200th episode. So just like on TV, when they hit a milestone of 100 episodes, Thursday, November 4th will be our 200th Bootcamp series episode. And we are doing a very special session with the SBA. And for that week is National Veteran Small Business Week. And so we're having a special session with Veterans Business Programs. It's going to be an hour-and-a-half session. We're really looking forward to it. We've got SBA presenters and other presenters, including some successful veteran-owned businesses that are going to share the programs they use to help with their success. We're really excited for that. So please join us for that 200th Bootcamp session. And with that, we're going to jump into today's speakers. We've got Ashley Wilhelm from the Office of Economic Opportunity, Andy Ridley from the Office of Economic Opportunity, and Rob Stenson from Grand Canyon University, and they're going to talk to us about the programs that are available for employers to help with their employees and to attract employees. So we're really excited about that. So with that, Ashley, Andy, and Rob will go ahead and turn the time over to you and let you share your screen.
Thank you so much, Rob. We are very excited to be here, and I will make one correction there. Rob Stenson is at Grand Canyon University and a doctoral candidate, but he also works at the city of Phoenix, Arizona at Work, and so that's where his expertise is being utilized today. So just wanted to make that distinction there before we get started. But thank you so much for allowing us to share more information regarding our services to employers through the Arizona at Work system. We are excited to provide more details and answer any questions that you may have as we go through this. Arizona at Work is a network that includes a large ecosystem of subject matter experts at the state and local level through public-private partnerships. This ecosystem works together to provide coordinated services, including employment and training programs and special initiatives that produce skilled workers to meet the demand of businesses to include not only trained and job-ready workers that are needed, but also promoting the retention of those workers. All these services are delivered through locations which can be found throughout the state. All of these locations that you see on the map here have the ability to publish and promote employment opportunities and match those opportunities with skilled and experienced workers through their shared job matching tool that's utilized by all of the locations, which makes it the largest job matching database within the state. Arizona at Work has a network of employees who are specifically trained and experienced at providing services directly to businesses. Those individuals are known as business service representatives, and we will speak in greater detail in this presentation about what types of services those representatives can provide and have access to that are specifically tailored to the business community. In order to provide skilled labor, we work with a large network of training providers, including the community college system. We bring together leaders from education and industry who work together to develop training programs to meet the talent needs and provide an avenue for individuals to access no matter where they are along their career path. This ensures that the access to skilled workers in the short term with those individuals who are enrolling in training programs once they are developed, but also provides the opportunity for others to see that pathway to a career and creates a pipeline of workers to fill the future need of business. Arizona at Work ensures that anyone who needs our services has access to them, and we provide targeted outreach of our education and training programs to specific individuals, including veterans and their families, who will receive priority access to our network of programs and services. So you will hear from Rob Stenson, who, like I said, is from the city of Phoenix, and he is a part of our network of partners. And he will be providing you with more information on the business service representatives at Arizona at Work and the services they have that can assist you specifically as employers. So Rob, I will hand it over to you.
Thank you very much, Ashley. Good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Rob Stenson. So the confusion with the doctoral program, one of my passions is workforce development, and my research is really on long-term unemployment and the reasons and causations for long-term unemployment, which is probably your number one heartburn item that keeps you up at night, whether it's trying to recruit individuals, or how do you take the individuals that you have today and make them more relevant for how the world has changed, how economics have changed, how the demands of your clients have changed. And for a small business, that's really difficult to keep up with and then maintain the rest of your multiple hats that you wear. I am, for full disclosure, I am not a full-time or a long-term government employee. I actually came from the private sector. I grew up in small business. I worked in a family-owned business from the time I was in junior high. Broke every employment youth law I think there was known to man. And so I understand small business and have worked in small business throughout my career up until about 5-6 years ago when I joined the government. Next slide, please, Ashley. So today we want to talk about a few different programs when it comes to services to employers and talk about some recruiting programs that we have that are offered to you as an employer. Everything that I'm going to talk about today is really at no charge. It is through the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. No reason to mention that or remember that program. It's a Department of Labor grant that is the funding source and the reason why we sit in front of you today. We'll also go through some work-based learning grant programs and talk a little bit about the apprenticeship style programs. Next slide, please. So as I've mentioned, our purpose is really to assist you as a local business in order to increase organizational success. The biggest asset that you probably have within your organization is your people. And how do you maintain a relevant workforce or bring in a relevant workforce that increases your competitiveness and the job seekers' competitiveness over time? And so that's kind of the framework of what we're going to discuss today. Whether it's recruiting practices and the frustration that you may or may not be having, attracting new talent to your organization, skilled talent into your organization, or proactively, that proactive development of individuals who are ready to work in your specific industry. At the same time, empowering those individuals within your incumbent work staff to make sure that they have the skills necessary so you're competitive and able to be sustainable over time. Next slide, please. So we're going to take a four-pronged approach. Most folks that know me know I like three-pronged approaches. We are going to add a bonus prong, and that is going to include labor market information, but primarily talent acquisition is the first thing that we're going to discuss. Pre-vocational training and what that looks like and how you as a small business can leverage pre-vocational training either as part of your talent acquisition process or developing new talent and making those connections with education partners. Work-based learning, which is a series of both pre-vocational apprenticeship, incumbent worker, and on-the-job learning programs. And then finally, labor market information. This tends to get a lot of information that's coming at you at a rapid rate. And so during this conversation, please use the Q&A tab at the bottom of your screen. You'll see a Q&A tab. If you click on that and you want to type in a question, please feel free to do so. I will try and monitor as we're talking and answer any questions that may come up as we're going through if you need clarifications. Next slide, please. First, we're going to start with talent acquisition. It's no shock. Don't feel like you're on an island, like this is only happening to you. If you've watched the news at all or seen anything on the internet, you know that all businesses, regardless of size, are having a talent acquisition issue. Trying to find the right people for the right positions. This is a multifaceted, complex very difficult to disentangle type phenomenon. It's not a recent phenomenon, to be honest. It's been going on long before COVID. But it seems to have intensified and become more of an issue or more relevant during the COVID timeframe. So throughout our locations, whether you're here within the city of Phoenix, throughout Maricopa County, or any of the other counties throughout the state, Arizona at Work offers some consistency when it comes to talent acquisitions. You can go to any Arizona at Work location as a business, talk to a business engagement person in that local community, and they will help you with getting the marketing out, getting the information out about your job postings, your job descriptions, and things like that. They'll help you post that in a program that's called Arizona Job Connection. That's our state's job posting service. You've obviously heard of Jobbing, Indeed, Monster. This is a state program. So anyone who's working through transitions, who comes into one of our many job centers located throughout the state that Ashley mentioned earlier, that are working with career advisors to address, hey, what is my next move? Where do I want to go? How do I polish up my resume? How do I get my interview skills up to speed? You know, these are the individuals that we would be connecting you to you primarily. Most of the local areas will help you with your job posting, do the actual posting for you, or help direct you into the website so you can get that posting up. In addition, those individuals at the local areas, the engagement folks, will help you get that information out into the community. And so, believe it or not, workforce development, there's hundreds of groups within the state that work with different job seeker potentials. So if you're looking for an entry-level position, we may tap into a network of certain organizations. If you're looking for individuals with higher skills, associates, bachelors, even the masters, most of our teams will help you connect with the education providers, the alumni associations. So think of Arizona at Work as a one-stop kind of opportunity to help you with navigating the networking opportunity. You may not have a recruiting person that's dedicated in your organization. Consider us an opportunity to come alongside your recruiting efforts and fill in some of the gaps that you may have when it comes to recruiting and HR potentials. So outreach is one of those compelling components. The job search and screening. So let's say we do a job post and you want to only see candidates that are qualified. You can ask the business engagement person to collect all of the resumes or job posting responses. And our team will actually call those candidates, do a pre-screening based off of a discussion with you about what those minimum qualifications are, and refer to you or send it to you qualified candidates who have already gone through a pre-screen process. We also have recruiting events. You know, recruiting events over the past year and a half have been tough. And so in-person events, if you've been trying to get access to in-person events, you know how difficult that may be. Most of our teams have kind of gone through the virtual process and created a compelling way for you to speak to candidates and get interested in your jobs through a virtual format. This includes helping to collect data and send qualified candidates, pre-qualified candidates over to you for further discussion after you kind of give like an info session type process with those individuals. One of the things that we have seen often is job description feedback. This will also tie in later in the discussion here with labor market information or LMI data. But if your job description, as you're putting that information out, there tends to be, if you don't get the necessary number of responses, there could be something just kind of wrong with your job description, even the job titles. And so I'll give you an example. We worked with an organization that relocated into the Valley, and they were really struggling to get traction and get individuals interested in their positions. Our team reviewed the job description and realized that was actually a simple issue. The job title called for a clerk. And nobody in the Valley knew what a clerk was. It's kind of an older school term. And so that's all we did was, hey, let's adjust the title and let's change some of the description. So somebody who's reading, a job seeker who's reading the description knows what they're applying for very clearly. After we did those edits, they filled over 100 positions within a 3-month period of time for those open positions. Oftentimes, individuals are also looking for meeting space. This one's harder right now during COVID. The city of Phoenix specifically does not have a lot of in-person meetings and trainings, but one day COVID, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise, will go away. COVID will end. We'll go back to whatever normal looks like. And if your team needs space to do training, particularly if you're in the Phoenix area, I can speak to my team directly. We have meeting space. We've got training rooms. We've got interview rooms that are for your organization to use free of charge. So anything that you need to do, even for whether it's a short period of time or a week or two, we've done planning sessions, strategic planning, hosted space for strategic planning, and then basic trainings that are over a week long for organizations as well. Next slide, please. Pre-vocational training. So pre-vocational or pre-hire type training. Here's how we support the job seekers. Ashley mentioned earlier about our job centers. I mentioned it slightly earlier. So if you've got, there's job seekers out in the community that are just, what do I do next? I'm confused. I don't know how to get a job. Believe it or not, I don't know about you, but I don't search for a job often. And it's an uncomfortable process. I use the analogy, it's like dating. I got married at a very young age, at 19. So I didn't have to go through the dating process. It's just the rejection component. There's a lot of similarities. You put out your resume, you don't get a response. Your self-motivation begins going down. Research says within 30 days, job seekers get moldy. They're less attractive to employers during the job search. And the job seekers get frustrated. And when job seekers get frustrated, they historically get haphazard job searching practices. This means I'm going to just throw out resumes, any posting, I'm just going to respond to it. And that's why you as an organization get individuals that come through that, did they even read your job post? Did they read this at all? Do they know what the qualifications? I'm going to be honest, no, they did not. They're frustrated. They're just trying to throw as much against the wall to see what sticks, and hopefully somebody will take me. It's bars closing. Who are we going to connect with? So that's that process. But employers are doing the exact same thing, and we're seeing this within COVID. Your organizations are getting frustrated, and it's becoming more and more difficult. And as the frustration sets in, it gets harder and harder for you to be able to focus on your strategies and proper tactics of recruiting. And that's where we come in. We just kind of help calm the process down, help the job seeker get refocused, get recentered, get better at performing in the resume writing process and the interview process. But we also help them with talent development. So if I was in customer service yesterday and I want to go into IT, I have the aptitude for that, but I lack the training. I lack the certification training. We provide individuals with funding to get that certification and then connect with employers. We're only a funding mechanism. Ashley mentioned earlier about the connections with the community colleges. Community colleges are an important factor in our funding mechanism under WIOA. And then Arizona post-secondary education providers, particularly in the healthcare world, you'll see a lot of post-secondary education or private post-secondary educations. They're all vetted programs that are on our list that are validated to provide quality training and provide quality candidates. And then we work to connect those candidates to you, which is why it's important to post your positions within Arizona Job Connection. So there's an attachment on that process. We also do, as part of that talent development, we also do a 5-day employability workshop about, where, how that individual should act, particularly if they're new individuals into employment. What does it mean to be an adult? And how they should respond and communicate to you as an employer when they get attached to employment. And finally, that's all part of the employment assistance programs. And then Becky, in response to your question, I'll get to some of the credential funding and probably the next slide here, which may help, but we'll also provide contact information to myself. Next slide, please, Ashley. So the work-based learning, this is really here's where we're talking to you specifically. These are all contract applications and contract-based grant programs that are available to you as a small business. Matter of fact, all of these programs work best for organizations like you. The majority of the folks that I work with and my team works with on a day-to-day basis have less than 100 employees, significantly less than 100 employees. Our average is actually 50 or less. And these programs are meant to help your organization with building a better team. It's expensive to build a team. It's expensive to maintain the process. If you're going through an organizational development process, which a lot of small businesses have been going through over the past year, your next step typically after you go through the strategic planning is identifying your team and how do I develop them and get them to match where my strategies are going to be over the next X number of years. One of my favorite programs is the Incumbent Worker Training Grant Program. This reimburses 50 to 90% reimbursement program for training to your incumbent worker. The definition of an incumbent worker is someone who's worked with your organization in an employee-employer relationship, so W-2 employee, for 6 months or more, working full-time, so 32 hours or more for the past 6 months. That's the Department of Labor's definition of incumbent worker. So let's say I'm working for you and I'm a great guy. You like me, things are going great, but I lack a specific skill. Let's use something simple. Like I know the basics of Excel, but I don't know how to do pivot tables, and I don't know how to take and synthesize data so it's relevant for our organization to use for key performance indicators or assessment of how we're doing and performance in general. You can use this program to help Rob get training in order to be more relevant to your organization. So what are your options? You can either just accept the fact that I don't know it and go and interview and try and find somebody else. And well, you're probably going to find somebody else with the same skills that I have already, plus this additional ability. And then what good am I to your organization? You're either going to leave me in position, but why? You just brought in somebody better. And then I'm going to get frustrated because you took on somebody else. And typically what happens is a disgruntled employee talks badly and impacts performance of the overall organization over time. And that's why you see when one person leaves, they grab about 2 or 3 people with you and they take more of your folks with them. So training an individual is a good opportunity where you can give me those necessary skills. You bring me up within the organization. The third opportunity is you just ignore it. And that's one of the things that we see in small businesses that happens a lot. You just limp along Well, now you've impacted your ability to be competitive, your ability to be sustainable over time. And so that's not one of the better options. So this grant gives your organization up to $50,000 in a fiscal year, which is July through June. That's the government fiscal year. To perform whatever training is causing a heartburn or gap within your organization. You identify that, we work through that, we talk through what your business needs are, what your people needs are, organizational development needs are. We complete an application document. Once that's approved, we sign a contract. And then you can begin doing the training. You identify the training partners, I do the reimbursement for the training components. If you're less than 50 employees, that's where the 90-10 split comes in. I reimburse up to 90%. You pay 10%, but wait, there's more. The government used some fantastic verbiage that I love. They said in-kind contribution. In-kind contribution is important, phenomenal, outstanding language that basically means if you send the individuals to training during normal working hours, like you're paying their hourly rate, you can use their hourly rate towards your portion of the contribution. So if training for the entire organization costs, each individual costs $3,000 or $4,000, I'm probably going to end up cutting you a check for that $3,000 or $4,000 total. This grant can be used for nonprofit organizations. It can be used for profit organizations. It works for both. We've worked with many different styles of organizations. Secondary, that's for the incumbent. The second one is on-the-job training. So how many times have you interviewed a Rob and you said, great guy, fantastic guy. Just ask my wife, she'll tell you. And you come through and you say, Rob, you're a great candidate, but you have zero work experience in my industry. And man, this is going to take forever to get you trained within. We got to do a lot of hand-holding, and hand-holding is expensive, but it is one of the most effective ways to get somebody to know your specific business. So on-the-job training basically comes in and says, we will reimburse your organization 50% of the hourly wage, up to $4,000 per individual net new hire that you make, and $50,000 per company in a given year. So let's say you maximize $4,000 per net new hire. That would mean that you could hire 12 and a half people under this grant. So in this grant, again, application process, you identify what types of candidates you need to hire, what positions you're hiring for. And the hardest part for organizations is going to be in the application. There's a chart, there's a table. It says, what are the learning objectives? List out the learning objectives the individual needs to know, and how many hours is it going to take for them to learn that information. That will build the reimbursement process for us. And so if you've got that identified already, what are the major objectives that a new hire needs to have within your organization? That's great. That application is going to go really, really quick. Coming again from the mind frame of small business, one of the issues that I had for every organization that I ran, companies don't spend enough time laying this information out. And then when it comes to hiring new individuals, we kind of go back and say, wow, things just kind of faltered and that individual wasn't successful. They were a great candidate. Why weren't they successful? Oftentimes we haven't done the process of lining this information all the way out. It will also help you with, when you do this process, it'll also help you with the interview process. What questions should we be asking? Who are we actually looking for? So the grant process, the administrative side actually does have a organizational development benefit. If you haven't done this process, it will help your organization long past the on-the-job training grant. The customized training grant is a little bit more laborious. It really fits a model where an organization or a group of companies or an industry is getting together for net new hire training. I need 50 or 100 CompTIA certified individuals or PM certified individuals And so that program helps get those individuals pre-trained. And I can talk about that more if somebody wants to know more about that in a little while or after the call. And then finally, apprenticeships. Apprenticeships have a nationwide push right now. There are more underutilized professions or occupations that are designing apprenticeships, which basically tie classroom time into on-the-job learning. One of the things that we hear over and over and over again from businesses is, I'm sending out and I'm doing recruiting, but the individuals that I want have to have at least 2 years of experience for an entry-level job. Well, one of the ways to get around or get that experience is to go through, sorry about that, go through an apprenticeship program where individuals get classroom and on-the-job hands-on learning. Next slide, please. All right, the final prong is labor market information. We work intensely with the ACA and the Office of Economic Opportunity, or OEO, and synthesize some of the data. When we're working with you as an organization and you're stating, hey, I'm struggling in this particular area, we'll kind of take a look at your industry, look at your market, look at where you're active in your MSA. So for example, in the city of Phoenix, we would give you information for basically the Maricopa County area. What are your counterparts? What are your competitors doing? What struggles are they having? What does the workforce look like? Where are the education pools? How many individuals are the higher education or post-secondary education groups pushing out? And help you identify how to come about finding the right talent. Are you positioned appropriately to be competitive moving forward? Next slide. All right, perfect. And then for the where can you find information, I'll add comments in the Q&A section. And I believe Andy is up next. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob. I appreciate your excellent portion of this boot camp, and I want to thank Robert Theobald for being asked to be part of the small business boot camp. I'm going to present a short presentation on one of the statewide employment and training programs, as Rob was referring to, with the exception that this program, the Arizona Career Readiness Program, is well, like the other programs, no cost to the businesses or the workers, but this is also a complete no application process or timeline requirement program. It's a work at your own pace. The basis of where the Career Readiness Program came from is that, research has shown over years, both nationally and locally in the state of Arizona, we've done out of the Arizona Commerce Authority and Office of Economic Opportunity research for the last several years. And it's can be nailed down to that the employers want a prepared workforce. And many of the programs that Rob was talking about would help prepare the workforce. But one of the emerging messages is that part of that preparation, and we can move to the next slide, Ashley, is that we want workforce that is also foundationally prepared in academic realm and in professional and technical skills. So the Arizona Career Readiness Program emerged from that, essentially a program to enhance what the hiring process is already asking for, that the labor force be prepared. One of the biggest stumbling blocks for hiring and running a small business is the hiring process and retention. And if you find that your labor force is just not prepared, perhaps you hired one of those that Rob was talking about that was throwing stuff against the wall to see what would stick. and you find that they are just not the professionally prepared or foundationally prepared, one of the components that could enhance your process of either hiring or retention could be to hire those that hold the Arizona Career Readiness certificate. The way it's working right now, we're focusing on 3 foundational academic skills, as you see labeled down there below: applied mathematics, reading for information, locating information, and also the professional skills, which in just as a quick review of those would be things like communicating effectively, general professionalism, such as showing up on time and having a decent attitude, critical thinking, collaboration, and teamwork. And one of the emerging skills in the technical area is some foundational technical skill that we're calling digital literacy, which will at some point likely become part of the Arizona Career Readiness Program. Foundational skills in digital literacy would include things like device use, internet use, managing digital documents, and managing digital security protocols. Next slide. So on the left, this would be the benefits that could be highlighted for those that are your employees, that they can go through an initial skills review of these foundational skills, have some learning modules to develop further if they needed further development. And the key here is the evaluation tools or assessments along the way to determine if they're ready for the final assessments that would validate their skill levels and essentially whether they would pass and hold the career readiness credential. But the key here for you as businesses are the 3 bullets on the right. I'm going to work backwards on these bullets here. The new hire tool I've already kind of alluded to. I want to give you a quick example of that. One of the power providers in Southern Arizona is called Sulphur Springs Electric, and they use the ACRC essentially as a tool to screen candidates. So they typically go through about every 6 months a hiring blitz, and those that hold the ACRC upon registration or application process or soon after are considered the cream of the crop or more likely to be successful in the job and therefore more apt to be hired. In the middle bullet, the professional development tool, this is where you have the incumbent worker program that Robert was talking about. An enhancement to that would be using the ACRC, much like the town of Gilbert, although it's a misnomer to call it a town. Town of Gilbert is 250,000 residents and thousands of employees in the municipal employ there. They use the ACRC as a tool to determine if incumbent workers are ready for advancement or perhaps even promotion. And then there's the certification tool of, while you could call this the onboarding and probationary period, a new hire would be using a certification tool such as ACRC to determine that they're going to be ready to move forward in the business. And so one of the examples of that is in the next, I think it's in the next slide there, Ashley. Yes, our employer up in Prescott called European Techniques builds cabinets. And this is along with a number of research that's been done around the country showing success of programs like this. European Techniques studied for the first year of implementation of the ACRC, their retention rate. All the new hires and the incumbent workers were expected to earn their ACRC, and they marked where they began the program in 2018. that they had a current 71% retention rate, and it was on the downslide. And as a result of the ACRC, they marked a year later that they had improved their retention by 21% to 92%. And the way, and this is anecdotal, I'm not sure if I know the facts exactly right, but the way I understood it was that the remaining 8% that were not retained were those that did not complete the ACRC. So that's a great story for, and European Techniques is a small business. So that's a great use of the ACRC. And so let's move to the next slide. One of the things I wanted to cover today was just trying to give you an idea of how this has been implemented. As you saw from the previous slide, we've been working on this for about 4 years. So far, over 9,250 individuals across the state have enrolled in the program. Let me re-emphasize here, this is a no-cost program, both to the workers and to businesses. Those learning components that they've gone through, they've spent over 65,000 hours logging in and using the learning components preparation for the assessments. 9,000 assessments have been completed, and over 2,600 have earned the credential in the state of Arizona in these 3.5+ years that we've been operating the system. The passing rates on the right side, I want you to take note. Professional skills has the lowest passing rate. This has also been noted as one of the definite bumps along the way in hiring and retention in businesses, small and large, across the state of Arizona, and evidence across the country would reflect the same. But in the end, there's still a good pass rate there for those. I would say the average along, all 4 assessments is about 90% pass rate. So 9 out of 10 that attempt the ACRC end up passing the ACRC. And let me add that I'm putting in the chat right now for further information on the ACRC. You can go to acrc.az.gov on how you can participate, both as an individual and an employer. Immediate contact form in there that will reach me, and I would be able to return a message to you. We have partners across the state in a number of arenas. I want to answer a question that showed up in the chat related to nonprofits. We work with the nonprofits, including the schools too, and of course, Arizona Work on a large scale is one of our biggest participants as a workforce partner utilizing this program. Next slide, Ashley. Right, well, I guess that was my last slide.
Yeah, that was your last one. I was next. We just wanted to real quickly highlight some additional ways that we have developed training and have available to businesses to use. I know we're getting close to time, so I'll run through these really quickly. We have been able to partner with community colleges, like I said earlier, along with industry. I know you see some very large employers on this slide. They have helped drive some of the development of specific training programs that are needed through this one is manufacturing industry specifically. And but that doesn't mean that any other businesses can't take advantage of these training programs that have been developed. So we've been able to put together some short-term boot camps and training programs. We worked with Central Arizona College in Coolidge, I believe, and in Pinal County that has developed a short-term manufacturing, advanced manufacturing training program which includes robotics and prepares, it's just to help prepare those students into those manufacturing jobs that are coming into Pinal County. We also have similar short-term training and certification programs with Mesa Community College and Astoria Mountain Community College, as well as Pima Community College. So in those 3 community college districts, they have aligned their curriculum. So they are all the same. They're all speaking the same language. They're all called the same, that certification program, which is new for the community college districts to align their curriculum, and has worked really well. So you can access those training programs for, like Rob and Andy said, for your incumbent worker trainings, but also find candidates for your programs through those training programs as graduates of those training programs. We also have worked with Amazon Web Services to create a IT certification, and this is in both the high school and post-secondary arena. So because we are seeing that cloud jobs are in the top 10 highest paid certification and have over 95,000 openings for jobs with cloud computing skills. So this was another way where we have partnered with a employer, a large employer, but you can also take advantage of these graduates and as well as send your incumbent workers through these trainings. So we are trying to develop these statewide partnerships and leverage that for all of the employers in Arizona to utilize. We've also put together this resource list that has our website and some other information about Arizona at Work and how you can navigate through our system. But the best bet is to connect with folks like Rob at City of Phoenix, but also within our local areas, there are other people just like Rob who are very knowledgeable and helpful and can help you navigate what it is you need and connect you with the resources that we have. So again, we want to thank you for allowing us to provide all of this information today.
Excellent. Thank you, Ashley, Robert, and Andy for a great presentation you shared. Again, for everybody, this slide deck will be shared with the recording on our Bootcamp website. And we don't have any last minute questions. I know Robert answered a bunch of them during the session as well. So we thank you for those good questions that you shared. We appreciate everybody coming on today. We hope to see you on Tuesday for our next Bootcamp session. But until then, everybody have a great rest of your week and great weekend. And we'll see you on Tuesday morning. Thank you for joining us today. Bye.